Chapter 3 of your textbook talks about the difference between market value and book value within a company. They are two different concepts. Market value is the value of the company or the value of the shares of stock out there in the market. I was trying to think of something extra profound to say, but I can't think of what it would be, except that it's what you would pay in the market for a share of stock. You would pay in the market for a share of stock. That's the market value. That makes sense. It's just exactly what it says. And if you wanted the market value of the whole company, you would take the total number of shares outstanding times the market price. And that would give you the market value of the company times the market price of the shares. And that would give you the market value of the company. Book value is based on the financial statements, and book value, to get the book value of the company, it is the common equity of the company per the financials divided by the number of shares outstanding. And there are two different things, and we'll look at the example of that in this problem. But when we're talking about market value added, it's going to be the difference between the market value and the book value. For instance, if the market value, if I went out to buy a share of stock and it cost me $30, and if I calculated the book value of the company by looking at their financials and doing this calculation, and the book value of each share was $20, then the market value added is 10. The market sees more value in the company than is actually reflected in the books. And so let's take a look at problem 3-5 and put that to some use, what we just talked about. We have Henderson Industries, and they have $500 million of common equity on its balance sheet. Now, one thing I do want to remind you of is that common equity, when we talk about common equity, it is going to equal the common stock and the retained earnings. Those two things together equal the common equity. Retained earnings is part of the equity. And so on 3-5 it says they have $500 million of common equity on the balance sheet. 500 million. And they have, right now the market price per share is $60 per share. So I'm just going to write down the information that I have, market value per share. So if I went out in the market and wanted to buy a share of Henderson stock, it would cost me $60. I better label this with common equity. What else does it tell us? It says its market value added is 130 million. So market value added equals 130 million. So the question is, how many shares are outstanding? How many shares are outstanding? So they're asking us, instead of, in this case, when we want to figure out the market value of a company, we take the number of shares outstanding times the market price. So the formula, if I wanted to look at this particular section, the market value of the shares equals the number of shares times the market price. And they're telling me you have this and this, you have the, but you don't have the number of shares. And so for the book value, the formula works the same way. So in order to calculate the market value added, I'm trying to figure out how to set this up. I am going, so when I'm talking about market, the market value added, I'm going to take the price, and in finance, when we talk about the market price of a share of stock, we use P with O. And so I'll be using that more later. So market price per share is P with the O subscript. So the market value added is the price per share times the number of common shares. With the difference of the book value of the equity. We have in this case the market value added. So I'm going to put in $130 million because in the problem it tells us the market value added for the whole company is 130 million, and that is because the price per share is $60. Since I want the whole company, the market value of the whole company, I multiply each share by the number of common shares, which I don't know what they are, so that's an unknown to me. So I'm going to put 60x. I don't actually even need to put parentheses there, do I? Oops. So I've got the market value added is the price per share times the number of shares, and X represents what I don't know, and I will subtract the book value of the equity, and they have actually given us the book value of the common equity is 500 million. And so now I can algebraically solve that problem. And if I were doing this, to solve this equation, I would bring 500 million over to this side. And since it's a negative here, it will become a positive here. And so my equation could be reduced down to 630 million equals 60x. And if you solve for x, that'll give you the number of the common shares. And so that's how you'll want to set up that problem. And I sure hope that in beginning this problem I didn't confuse you too much.